You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thank you so much for joining me here today on part 2 of our community questions that we affectionately refer to as the Cabral HouseCall. So this is my chance to literally try to reach out, almost as if I were to coming into your home and being able to sit down with you, listen to your question, and give you that best place to get started. That's my goal. My goal is maybe not to create the entire protocol for you and exactly everything you need to do in one answer, but what I want to do is understand that there is hope, that you can find an answer, and that most likely you're already on the right path. So few people give themselves the credit they deserve. They've already done so much work to get into this point. They know so much that doesn't work for their body, but yet they just haven't found their answer quite yet. That's okay, because what you are doing right now is going through the process of self-discovery, the process of learning about your body, your unique bioindividuality, by continuing to test, whether it be, rotation-based diets or testing nutritional supplements or testing different diet plans or actually doing a functional medicine test. You are testing to see what works for you current day, today, and then what may also work in the future, because there's 2 different scenarios, right? The first scenario is that things don't work for you today because you're quite sensitive, because your body's imbalanced. And then as you become more balanced, you become what's called more infinitely flexible. That means your ability to adapt to your environment continues to increase. As that happens, your longevity, your ability to live a strong, healthy life goes up. I learned that actually from Deepak Chopra many, many years ago. So let's give credit where credit's due. Deepak was explaining specifically on an audio book that I bought of his that one of the keys to longevity is flexibility. It's basically not being as sensitive to your environment, to be able to go with the flow. Beautiful, beautiful sentiment that he stated there. And so I was excited to be able to add that to my learning repertoire, which is exactly what you're doing right now, right? I have the Cabral HouseCalls on the weekend. I have the Cabral Concept during the week where we're going on all sorts of different topics. And then I do hope that one day in the future, you maybe have your podcast, your book, or you're simply that go-to person in your home, your community, your family, passing on all these different health and nutrition and exercise and lifestyle-based tips. Because remember, if we're all teaching each other and we're all focused on natural health, think about how quickly that this natural health movement will really move forward. That's what it's all about. No more pharmaceuticals, only with life-saving based conditions. Let's get into looking at the underlying root causes that are holding us back from our best life yet. Okay, let's get into that first question, which is from Mark. Mark writes in, "Hello, Dr. Cabral. After 13 pretty horrible years of undiagnosed health issues, I was finally diagnosed with systemic candida and gut dysbiosis, etc. For the most part, I've gotten better about 5 years ago, mainly from doing ozone-based treatments. At that time, after having about 20 years of sinus issues and 93% of a deviated septum, I decided to have nasal surgery for the septum and turbinate reduction. 2 weeks after surgery, things got horribly worse. The vertigo had for many years came back. The daily disequilibrium, the nausea, the symptoms of anxiety, depression, you name it. I was assuming from the IV antibiotics and oral antibiotics. Doctors were trying this or that until my new doctor diagnosed me with Marcons. I can never pronounce this word correctly, Mark. I don't even bother to look up the pronunciations because it's just semantics. It's Marcons, Marcons. I'll tell everybody what it is specifically, but for the acronym, because it's simply just an acronym, I like to actually be able to... I'm going to get through your question, Mark. Let's get back on track, and then I'll tell everybody what it is. All right. So she says, without getting rid of Marcons, you cannot get rid of the other co-infections like candida, gut dysbiosis, etc. The problem is that when I try to get rid of the Marcons with traditional BG spray or even silver with EDTA, my VEGF falls and I nearly begin to seize up. I get minimal oxygen through my capillaries and I've ended up in the ER multiple times for this. Do you know of any other Marcons treatments other than xylitol, sea salt, iodine, etc. that actually work. Maybe you could do a podcast on Marcons. Apparently, while treating my Marcons, my candida is now so bad that even 3 drops of GSE sends me for a loop and I feel horrible. It can barely function. Sorry for the run-on question. Just so much going on and very frustrated. Mark, totally understand where you are coming from. Let's tell everybody else who's not familiar with this and obviously not in the functional medicine field or conventional medicine field that Marcons stands for multiple antibiotic resistant coagulase negative staphylococci. Here's what this means. What it means is this, is that you have a bacterial, and I would call it a biotoxin-based issue, that your body's creating massive amounts of immune-based cells and chronic inflammation. So as you start to use things that are quite powerful, like the citricidal drops, you call them the GSE drops, same exact thing, is that you start to have that massive Herxheimer-based reaction or die-off-based reaction. What we need to do, Mark, and this is really important because this is something that's missing right now, because we don't know if you have other subsidiaries to that, which is mold-based toxins and higher levels of histamines and lowered levels of mitochondria, is what we need to do is this, is we need to first, so here's the deal. I truly care about helping people get well, but I don't care about helping them get well within a week. I don't. Like, I'm not your guy if you're looking for that quick fix. I'm not. I want to help people get well within about 12 to 16 weeks, meaning like their life may not have been changed if there's a massive issue like Mark has here. But I want you so much better that you say, this feels fantastic. I have a ways to go, but I feel fantastic. Now, if you just have gut-based issues or other things like that, we'll fix that within 12 to 16 weeks. There's no problem about that. Seriously. I mean, and I mean that. Like, a lot of people don't understand that. We really mean that. We really do. Like, you're going to get better. And I know so many people don't believe that because of past circumstances, but I just wanted you to know that you don't have to work with us. There is hope and that you can get well. Now, in this type of situation, Mark's going to need to take a little bit longer. Here's why. We want to begin to first open up the liver detoxification-based pathways and start to rebalance the immune system to become a little bit stronger, okay? A little less dominant towards the Th2 and a little bit stronger and balanced between Th1, Th2, and what's actually called Th17 that we don't talk about as much, but there's more than just Th1 and Th2. Th17, as it becomes stronger, will actually go after candida to a greater level on its own. So now you have your own innate immune system going after candida. So what do we need to do? First, we need to open up those liver pathways. I would love you to do the Dr. Cabral detox, but at the same time, you might feel terrible in the first 2 days of fasting because you have a serious, this is a real health issue, right? So for the first 2 days, you could simply do 4 smoothies a day rather than just the powder and water. But what I need you to do is open up the liver pathways and then continue on with the daily fruit and vegetable blend and the daily nutritional support each morning. Now, again, in the beginning, you might only be able to do half the dosage of these each. And that's because they in themselves, that's not proper English, but we'll go with it, are allowing you on a daily basis to keep those pathways open. This is very important because we can't have you, we call it herxing, but herxheimering every time you use products that would kill off these different types of bacteria as well as yeast. Once you do that, we're going to use our candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol with the citricidal drops. I have no problem with short-term use of colloidal silver. I have no problem with short-term use of a very strong products such as olive leaf, but we've never needed them. If we ever need them in the future, then we can use things such as intestinol, which is another great product, and we have so many things up our sleeve, but those are very strong. You would never start with those initially. And so, Mark, that's where I would begin, and hopefully we can help you along on that health journey of yours. Okay, Paige is up next. Paige is asking, hi there, where can I find the research on fluoride, pesticides, etc. that cause cancer, which you mentioned in your podcast about inflammation? Thank you. All right, Paige, inside of my book called The Rain Barrel Effect, you will find over, I believe it's 300 clinically researched PubMed and other European-based studies. And so they're all there inside The Rain Barrel Effect. But, I mean, the truth is you probably don't need me to do this, right? You could go on, as they call it, Dr. Google, and just type in anything you want for research on negative effects on fluoride, research on negative effects on pesticides. All of those are outlined in my book. Now, if you have not read The Rain Barrel Effect, I can't recommend reading that enough because that will teach someone like Mark the specific steps beyond just supplementation that you need to do to start to repair the body. and page that will give you the research on the top 10 toxins, what to watch out for, and exactly where they come from. I also talk about how when they want to give a lab rat cancer in the lab to then do studies on how to cure cancer, they actually give it a specific pesticide that we place on our food. And we always wonder, well, where does cancer come from, right? It's not just pesticides, but pesticides is one, no doubt about that. So check that out. There was actually just a verdict in federal court in the United States that awarded something like $180 million to the family of a man who used to spray the fields with Roundup that got cancer. So this is a real thing. It's not me, preaching this. Honestly, I have no dog in the fight. No dog in the race is probably a better way to say that. And I'm just trying to share with you the truth. That's the truth. Not that it has any bias or any media behind it or that's trying to promote one thing or the other. So Paige, that's the best place to look. And also 100% of all proceeds from the Rain Barrel Effect go to charity. Jen's up next. Jen wrote in, since December, my kids have been hit with every flu and bug and strep throat and stomach flu and head colds and sinus infections. They had a runny nose. A month later, got the flu. Finally broke down and took some Sudafed. And the headache finally went away, but the coughing was still there. I had postnasal drip. About 3 weeks later, the cough was phlegm-based. It went into my chest and lungs. She was offered an inhaler, Mucinex, and cough medicine. Today, the coughing's a little better, but I keep waking up with sinus infection or sinus colds. I've been using all sorts of different products. Does this sound like a virus or allergies? Could it be me causing me to get so sick? Okay, Jen. So for the kids, we have our children's immune protocol. We no longer sell it on equilibriumnutrition.com, but we simply just give you all of the links to purchase those elsewhere because the truth is that there's only so many products that we want to carry on Equilibrium Nutrition, and there's a lot of great brands out there that I like to represent as well. So why don't I'll try to link that up for you today, but if not, you can always just go to stevencabral.com/podcast and type in children's immune. And you can also do the same for the adult. But simply go to stevencabral.com/926. And over there will be all of today's show notes, and I'll try to link that up for you. It's a whole podcast on children's immunity. It's not kind of what I do for my girls, my two little girls. It's exactly what I do. So it's exactly what I do. And that's why I tweak it based on more research that I'm doing or if a better product becomes available. And that's why sometimes I don't name the products because it means I might just change them out in a year from now. Again, the products I was using before doesn't mean they're ever bad. It just means, hey, if I can improve this, I'm going to. I do that with my same products, meaning the Daily Nutritional Support Shake. A lot of people don't know this, but when we first came out with it, it was called the Daily Detox Shake. And it contained more detox-based factors. But I wanted this to be for women that were pregnant. I wanted it to be for children. I wanted it to be for nursing moms. And so what I did was I took out the detox factors to allow it to be used by a greater number of people while still keeping all of the 100% of multivitamin, all of the stronger B complex, the minerals, the electrolytes, the 15 grams of vegan protein, all that great stuff in it. So I'm a work in progress, right? And so everything in life I like to think of that way is if we can improve it, we will. Adult immune protocol, yeah, you can simply look that up as well. And it is a possibility that this is allergies. You wrote in on May 21st. You're well past flu season. What it could be was that if you took things to suppress and not necessarily help promote the immune system, that could have pushed it down. But certainly you can get postnasal drip from allergies. May is certainly allergy season in most parts of the wetter world, which is, well, pretty much like all around the United States, except for the Southwest. So if you look at it that way, it could certainly be a histamine issue. It can be some type of leukotriene or some type of immune-based issue. And we have a great allergy protocol for that as well. The allergy protocol will do you no harm, only good. And the reason is it's high dosage of vitamin C, alkalizing vitamin C, and then a His Pro-based supplement as well. So good place to start. Another one, great one would be zinc, balanced zinc as well. Jen, hopefully that gets you started. Mara's up next. Mara's right in. I'm a student finishing up my degree in exercise science. I would love to get into the functional medicine world as a health coach. I was curious of what certifications you would recommend getting as I make my way into the working world, and if there were specific companies you would say are better to receive the certification than others. I appreciate any advice you can offer me. Thank you, Mara, and I will remove your last name, Mara S. All right, great question. It comes up once a week on our house calls, so do tune into in previous shows. One thing too, Mara, and this goes for anyone that really wants to learn functional medicine, And, I really say this without ego, and I certainly don't believe that I'm the only one out there teaching this topic. But today is episode 926. We've done 926 episodes on all things health, functional medicine, integrative medicine, right? And if you go back and you listen to 928 podcasts on the topic of health and functional medicine, even go back and re-listen. Why am I doing this? Why do I do this? This is the education that I wanted when I was very sick. I believe if I had this, I would have gotten better within 6 months maximum. And I was a very sick case. I was like Mark's case up there, right? And maybe even worse, right? I don't like to compare who's sicker than who. But I had my sickness, Mark has his, and of course everybody has their own. I had multiple illnesses. I had mystery illnesses in the beginning until they figured out it was Addison's and myalgic encephalomyelitis and type 2 diabetes, which came later, and rheumatoid arthritis, which came after about 6 months, and I have POTS. So there was all sorts of things going on with my body. If I had this, I would have known that there was a way to test for underlying imbalances. I would have found the Addison's disease faster. I would have found the POTS faster because of the hair tissue mineral analysis with the electrolyte issues. I would have found the Addison's earlier because of the adrenal hormone test. There's a lot of things, right? The food sensitivity test, I didn't do that for 2 years. So even though I was still eating healthy, in air quotes, I was still eating foods like almonds and kidney beans and things like that I was sensitive to, right? Health foods I was sensitive to. So I ran that food sensitivity test that's so overlooked that when I eliminated those, I had less inflammation. I would have had the ability to run an organic acids test and stool test. I would have found out that I had SIBO. I would have found out that I had candida overgrowth, and I would have been able to do that. I would have been able to do genetic testing and find out I had methylation issues and COMT issues and SOD issues, right? So I would have been able to do all of this, and I would have repaired myself at a faster rate rather than waiting until I was 22, 23, and finally at 26, 27, when my mentor opened all of this up, opened my eyes wide open to this. And I've never looked back. I doubled, tripled down, 10x down. I started reading, instead of, 100 books a year, I started reading 200-300 books a year. And that's never stopped. And so, Mara, there will be no end in sight for your education. What I can say is look up all the great certifications out there, whatever one speaks to you the most. Do that. We are offering our level 1 and 2 certification coming out this September and then January for level 2. And in the future, we'll have a level 3 as well, which will be much more advanced. But level 1 and level 2 are really for all health practitioners that want to get into this. And so check back soon, as in like almost next week, and I would say for more information on that. Here's the other thing. I looked at all the certifications out there. I looked at what they provided, what they offered. And I said, I'm going to provide all that. I'm going to provide everything they provide and more. And I'm also going to charge half price. And so why would I do that? Well, my goal is to teach. I consider myself, rather than a naturopath or functional medicine doctor or Ayurvedic practitioner, any of those things, is I'm a teacher. I like to teach. When I'm at my best and I'm at my happiest and I'm in that zone, as we say, it's me teaching. It's me doing a podcast. It's teaching a person over Skype or in person. It's teaching my team. It's giving a seminar. It's speaking on stage. It's teaching. That's where I'm at my best. I'm at my worst with all the nitty gritty, right? That's not me. When I get out of teaching, when I don't feel I'm serving, I'm at my worst. I'm at my best when I'm teaching. And this self-certification, I plan to teach thousands of health practitioners who will then teach thousands of others. And that, to me, I feel like maybe that's my highest good, right? Maybe that's the best thing that I can do. Maybe that's the best mark that I can try to leave on this world, is to teach others who are then teachers themselves. And that's my goal. So look for that this September. We will be launching this September, and we'll be launching to just 100 people in the beginning. And we're going to serve those 100 people really, really well, and then we will open up to the rest of the world. We'll have a wait list, so you're welcome to check back soon. I'll be announcing it only on the podcast because listeners of this podcast, they deserve to be at the front of the line. And so that's what I'm doing. So you'll only see it there. So a lot of fun. Really enjoy that. And again, you choose who you feel is the best fit for you. But I can guarantee you that it will be all of the information and more. It will be the specifics of my de-stress protocol and the rain barrel effect. And then eventually with level 2 will be the lab coaching, that you'll be able to actually do labs with your personal clients or patients. And it'll be at half price. That's the truth. All right. So that's my promise to you. Robert's up next. Robert's asking, hello, I just listened to the Dr. Cabral podcast on elite men. I was interested in getting some tests done for my mom, but unsure which ones would benefit her. She has metastatic lung cancer and is receiving treatment every 2 months. I would love to see what other naturopathic ways she can be treated through the test. Thanks, Robert. All right, Robert, great question. A lot of great tests, right? So what do we need to do? In my opinion, right away, we run the organic acids test. We say, is she deficient on vitamin C or B vitamins? Very, very important. Is all the cancer-based treatments she's doing right now have her a little bit more susceptible to yeast, candida, or Clostridium difficile, which is also tested on that organic acids test. We'll look at her mitochondrial function as well, plus her liver detoxification due to radiation and chemotherapy. So that's certainly number one. Number two would be a hair tissue mineral analysis. These two tests combined are called our starter kit. You get a great deal on those two labs. There are so many more. Just thinking about where your mom's at right now, probably my number three, and I don't always make this my number three, but my number three for her would actually probably be an omega-3 test. One of the things that we need to do is really fight inflammation to the best of our ability, and we need to balance those omega-6 to omega-3 levels. Not as many people running that, but it's so overlooked. One of my favorite tests out there. Remember, if you have a 9% saturation of omega-3, you have a 90% risk reduction rate of cardiovascular death. That means sudden cardiac death. That means heart attacks. 90%. All most people need to do is run that lab, figure out the level of supplementation or including more fish in their diets, and they will be able to get to that level. I have not seen a lot of vegan-based fish oils able to get people to that level, and same with krill oil. Do I love vegan-based products? Absolutely. Do I love krill? Sure, it'd be fine. I love it more for the astaxanthin, that very powerful antioxidant. However, it's not showing clinical benefit. What I look for in my practice as a clinician, is clinical benefit, which means I need your numbers to meet the research. And so, of course, I recommend what meets the research because my goal at the end of the day is to keep you healthy. Okay, Michelle's up next. And then also, Robert, I'd be remiss if I didn't recommend a website called Cancer Tutor. Cancer Tutor is a great website to learn more about natural-based cancer treatments. And I also always love promoting protocols such as the Gerson Way or the Gerson Healing Method. But there are so many methods out there. Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez with his enzymes, Dr. William Kelly with the different nutrition diet plans that Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez actually learned from. So, if you look, what I am is an assimilator of information, right? So I take in thousands and thousands of books, and what I then have is the really ability to draw upon brilliant minds. And I say, what's the 80% of stuff? Like, what's all the stuff that they're talking about right now that they all have in common? And that's typically what we want to look at. Now, I'll look at the silver bullets, the small stuff that someone might be mentioning that a lot of other people aren't. And I look into them, like, why are they mentioning that? What are their results like? And because that matters as well. But what I want to do is like, all right, well, most people on a cancer-based treatment or on natural-based cancer treatment are doing this, and this, right? So, of course, that has to be part of the protocol. Check that out. You'll see a lot of good information through those doctors and also on cancertutor.com. All right, let's do one more question. Michelle's up next. Michelle is writing in, hi, Dr. Cabral. Have you ever heard of Monolaurin, helping to cure or prevent cold sores? If so, what are your thoughts on how to use it safely? Do you think it's a better option than lysine? Finally, what if I'm so sensitive that I tend to get cold sores or other reactions to the very products that are supposed to cure cold sores, like vitamin C from ascorbic acid? And I'm laughing right now because I know exactly why you're getting those reactions. All right, let me just get right into your question. Bottom line, the viral-based protocol that we have works exceptionally well. Now, when you have a reaction to ascorbic acid, which does help with viruses, it's because your body gets cold sores and herpes-based outbreaks and cankers most likely when you put too many acidic-based products in your body. Now, again, all the people out there who don't believe in acid and alkaline simply don't understand that the way that you buffer acid in the mouth and in the body is through alkaline-based enzymes and alkaline-based minerals. Well, some people, believe it or not, are deficient on those, and they can't buffer to the same degree. Now, do they still buffer to a level of around 7.356 or so with a pH? Of course they do, right? They do. They can keep within that parameter. They're probably maybe a lower number towards a 7.2 or 7.25, but they're more susceptible, right? They allow then for the more of the proliferation of that herpes virus and the cold sores. So what I'm recommending is something called alkalizing vitamin C, right? Alkalizing vitamin C has more of the mineral buffers. Or maybe you're someone that likes to use something like Camu, or what's another great one? Amla from Ayurveda. The problem is it's difficult to get the dosage that you need from that food-based one to help with a larger outbreak. And the other part to that is that oftentimes, initially when people have gut-based issues and a weakened immune system, they have more of a histamine-based reaction to those specific foods. Citrus, the citrus, vitamin C, all of those. So you can also use just a straight calcium ascorbate if you wanted to, but you want it buffered, okay? Now, besides that, though, you want to listen to my podcast on how to destroy viruses. Just check out that podcast to get to your last... So, because you need zinc and you need other products as well. L-lysine is fantastic. I would never remove L-lysine. You could add monolaurin too if you wanted to. We use monolaurin. I'm not against monolaurin. It's not a product that I think that we need to have, but certainly for people with yeast overgrowth, which can exacerbate viral-based symptoms, we'll use monolaurin. Can it be used for cold sores and herpes? Yes, it can. I've never had to use that product specifically, but I'm also not against it. So hopefully that gives you some answers. And again, we work on cold sores and herpes and those types of things, herpes zoster, all the time. And it comes down to a couple things: reducing stress, boosting that immune system, and then basically rebalancing, which I've spoken about many times before, the nervous system, endocrine system, and immune system, right? They all work together. When you do that, then you can say goodbye to herpes outbreaks. Hopefully today's podcast was helpful. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. Truly appreciate it. And as always, do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could help. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.